This month's lockdown skill video is all about catching and passing. The first key skill in terms of developing our catch pass is thinking about handling the ball and our hand-eye coordination. A really easy way of working on this at home is finding yourself a wall and a ball. It doesn't have to be a rugby ball, and it's actually really good just to keep mixing up the sorts of balls you're using. And it's just as simple as throwing the ball against the wall, catching it, and trying to alternate hands and move around in front of the wall. So you're really starting to challenge yourself as to how to catch it. So mapping the ball is what we call knowing how to hold it so you can do something effective with it. So if we're mapping to pass a longer pass, what we need to think about is where we're going to have our two hands and what they do. What we want to try and do is have a hand which is going to push the ball and a hand which is going to guide the ball. So if I'm throwing with my right hand, when I catch the ball, I want to map my right hand, which is going to do the pushing, at the back of the ball, and I want to have my guiding hand at the front of the ball. So I've got a nice bit of space there. That way, when I pass the ball, I'm in a really nice position to push and guide. So it's great using the tennis balls and the small ball. What you can do if you've got a rugby ball is you can use that and you can practice catching the ball, mapping it, and then throwing it at the wall again. And you can just keep changing which hand you go on and try and catch it and get the ball mapped as quickly as possible. When you're working on that drill, you can keep changing up the balls and really force yourself to catch in different places. Or if you're lucky enough to have a friend, you can get them to stand behind you and throw the ball at the wall so you can't see when the pass is coming, and it forces you to react and move to catch that ball. To turn this into more of a game, if there's more of you, you can have multiple catchers and throwers. You can change up the balls and you can have multiple balls going on at the same time. And you can start thinking about actions that you can take when you catch the ball. So for example, challenging the catcher to catch it with their left hand or their right hand, and doing things like clapping before they catch the ball, or touching the floor or the wall before they catch the ball as well. So the first thing we're going to look at in terms of actually passing the ball and catching it is something called pistols. And pistol is all about developing the pushing power behind your backhand on the ball. We've already talked about mapping the ball. What we want to do is map your pushing hand to the back of the ball. For pistols, you're going to put the ball on your hip and you're going to push the ball forwards, and it's all about pushing through your tricep and having a push rather than a swing to get that ball. And if you just have a wall, you can give yourself a target, stand opposite it, push towards the target. If you have a partner, you can ask them to stand with the target up, and you can take in turns to pistol pass that ball towards your partner. So you can award points by catching in a green zone, which is making sure the pistol pass is in an easily catchable space in front of the player. An amber zone, where you have the ball is maybe a bit too high or a bit too low. And then a red zone, where the pass is outside of the arms, below the hips, or above the head. The first development of the pistol pass really is thinking about isolating the top body and pushing with your tricep to get the ball moving. The next progression is to actually take a step and use the momentum from that step to step and then push. Once you've conquered pistols, the next thing you can think about are rifles. What we're talking about with rifles is actually bringing in your guiding hand into the pass as well. So you can do exactly the same drill, but this time you get your second hand on, and we call it rifling because you think about you've got your pushing hand and your guiding hand. Once that guiding hand's on, you can increase the accuracy and get a lot more spin on the ball. And you can start off by just standing opposite your partner, passing or towards a target, and then as you progress, you can start making it much more realistic by standing sideways and making sure you and your partner are offset so you can pass the ball backwards to each other. And again, just really focus on those key parts about mapping the ball nicely, pushing with your backhand, and then guiding with your front hand. So a couple of key coaching points to think about. If you're the catcher, get a nice target out for the passer to aim at, and try and catch that ball in front of your body as if you're running onto the ball. As the passer, think about mapping that ball nicely so you're in control and you've got a strong pushing and guiding hand. Think about pointing when you finish, so as you pass the ball, you finish with your hands pointing towards the target, so you push towards the target and not swung around where your margin for error is much higher. And finally, think about which foot you stand on when you pass the ball. If you pass the ball like this is a really closed position and it's hard to get a nice target, whereas if you think about your outside foot stepping forwards, suddenly your hips and your body are in a really nice position to throw a nice strong pass. As you progress this drill, you can stand further apart. You can turn it into more of a game by trying to keep score of where the passes have got to the hands and give yourself sort of best out of 10. And you can start adding movement in as well. So you can start off just by walking and making sure you throw that pass on your outside foot to your partner. We don't have much space to do that here. And then move it into a run so that you're making sure that you can do this at pace every time, trying to get the ball just in front of your partner for them to run onto. And whilst you're doing all of these drills, make sure you're working on both of your hands and really try and focus on your weaker hand if you can.